Now that I've taken away Nuts and Milk's only real claim to fame, I guess it's time to actually talk about that game. Hudson released it on the same day as Lode Runner, and it didn't have quite the pedigree or success that the other game did. The title and characters come from an existing computer game, but Nuts and Milk for the Famicom is a very different game than Nuts and Milk for the PC-88 or FM7 computers. They were more like Dig Dug, as Nuts and Milk tunneled through a surface to collect the fruit, and then complete the stage by collecting a heart. The tunnels they dug filled in behind them, so maybe there was a little bit of Lode Runner influence as well. Nuts and Milk on the Famicom is a puzzle platformer where your goal is to collect all the fruit, and then get to the house in the upper left where Milk's girlfriend Yogurt is waiting for him. Nuts is the enemy character in the game, that light green blob. Milk is the pink blob that's running around. So both the hero and the enemies are palette swaps of each other. Milk has a very short hop that he can use to get over Nuts or jump up steps. Every stage has a spring as well that can be used to launch the characters. The timing to use the spring, though, is painfully tight. The trickiest aspect of the game are these fences. The game manual calls them ropes, but I think we all know they're really fences. Milk cannot jump while standing on them or climbing them, so you'll often have to fall from them to get around. If you fall too far, Milk gets stunned for a few moments, and Milk does not get up until you press the jump button. A strange aspect to this is that the screen wraps. All of the stages are a single screen, and you can exit them to the left and appear on the right. Nuts' AI, which relentlessly pursues Milk, can't deal with that screen wrap. Using that screen wrap becomes a vital technique to avoiding Nuts. Starting at level 3, there are bonus stages every 5 stages. So that's level 3, 8, 13, and so on. Collect all the fruit and get to Yogurt in the middle to get an extra life. The obstacles on the bonus stages are the fireballs that appear at the edge of the screen. You don't lose a life if you touch one of them, it just ends the bonus stage. There are 50 stages in total in Nuts and Milk, and the most distinctive thing about them is how many of them have extra messages embedded in them, whether it's the level number made into the level, the initials of the programmer. I kind of miss seeing people's initials and names show up in games like that. There's a huge variation in the difficulty of levels, too. Some stages are a snap and only take a try or two to clear, others can stick you for quite a while. The worst ones I found are the ones that require precision jumping. The windows for those jumps are just too precise for it to be fun. Similar to Lode Runner, Hudson has a feature in the game so that players don't have to complete it in one sitting. Pressing select advances to the next level automatically. But if you wanted to continue at stage 42, it could take quite a while to get to that. Every time you press select, it has to wait until the next stage fully loads and starts playing before you can hit select again. There is no actual ending to Nuts and Milk. If you complete all 50 stages of Game A, it just drops you at Stage 1 in Game B. Game B adds a few more obstacles with blimps that emerge from the left and helicopters that emerge from the right. They move in kind of a sinusoidal pattern to get in your way. I found that the platforming was a tough enough challenge on its own that I didn't really need the additional obstacles. Similar to Lode Runner, Nuts and Milk includes a level editor. It's more full-featured than Lode Runners, though, because you can create every single stage in the game in that level editor. The levels that you create replace level 1 in Game A or Game B. If you fail to include all of the necessary components, though, you do get an error. All levels that you make must have a fruit that you're able to collect. Nuts must be somewhere on it. You must be able to reach the house. And for some reason, there has to be at least one spring. Fulfill all those conditions, and you can build your masterpiece and share it with your friends. Of course, as before, there's no actual way to save the data in Nuts and Milk, so your levels last as long as you leave the console on. Nuts and Milk is an okay game, but the only thing it was really remembered for is being the first third-party Famicom game, and it has to share that title with the much better Lode Runner. There was a Commodore 64 port of this version that came out in Europe under the title Hot Pop. It did get a sort of sequel. A mobile phone version was released in 2003. That version might be effectively lost, except it was included in Bomberman Land 3 on the PlayStation 2. So if you want more Nuts and Milk, it does exist. Nuts and Milk is a case of a game that was perfectly fine when it was released, but looking back at it almost 40 years on, it just doesn't hold up particularly well. The controls are a bit of a pain, but without that, the game is way too simple. It's a perfectly average Famicom game.